Section 4 of Little Masterpieces of American Wit and Humor, Volume 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by James Curran. Little Masterpieces of American Wit and Humor, Volume 2, edited by Thomas Lansing Masson. Section 4. Illustrated Newspapers by G.H. Derby. A year or two since, a weekly paper was started in London called The Illustrated News. It was filled with tolerably executed woodcuts representing scenes of popular interest, and, though perhaps better calculated for the nursery than the reading room, it took very well in England, where few can read but all can understand pictures, and soon attained immense circulation. As when the inimitable London Punch attained its worldwide celebrity, supported by such writers as Thackeray, Gerard, and Hood, would-be funny men on this side of the Atlantic attempted absurd imitations, the Yankee Doodle, the John Donkey, etc., which, as a matter of course, proved miserable failures. So did the success of this illustrated affair inspire our money-loving publishers with hopes of dollars, and soon appeared from Boston, New York, and other places pictorial and illustrated newspapers, teeming with execrable and silly effusions, and filled with the most fearful wood engravings, got up regardless of expense or anything else, the contemplation of which was enough to make an artist tear his hair and render his garments. A Yankee named Gleason, of Boston, published the first, we believe, calling it Gleason's Pictorial. It should have been Gleason's Pickpocket and Drawing Room Companion. In this he presented to his unhappy subscribers views of his house in the country, and his garden, and, for aught we know, of his ox and his ass, and the strangers within his gates. A detestable invention for transferring daguerreotypes to plates for engraving, having come into notice about this time, was eagerly seized upon by Gleason for further embellishing his catchpenny publication. Duplicates and uncalled-for pictures were easily obtained, and many a man has gazed in horror-stricken astonishment on the likeness of a respected friend as a portrait of Monroe Edwards, or that of his deceased grandmother, in the character of one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. They love pictures in Yankeedom. Every tin peddler has one on his wagon, and an itinerant lecturer can always obtain an audience by sticking up a likeness of some unhappy female, with her ribs laid open in an impossible manner for public inspection, or a hairless gentleman with the surface of his head laid out in legible lots duly marked and numbered. The factory girls of Lowell, the professors of Harvard, all bought the new pictorial. Professor Weber was reading one when Dr. Parkman called on him on the morning of the murder. Gleason's speculation was crowned with success, and he bought himself a new cooking stove and erected an outbuilding on his estate, with both of which he favored the public in a new woodcut immediately. Inspired by success, old Friedrich Merman Tom Thumb Woolery Horse Joyce Heath Barnum forthwith got out another illustrated weekly with pictures far more extensive, letterpress still sillier, and engravings more miserable, if possible, than the Yankee Gleasons. And then we were bored and buffeted by having incredible likenesses of Santa Anna, Queen Victoria, and the poor old Webster thrust beneath our nose, to that degree that we wish the respected originals had never existed, or that the art of wood engraving had perished with that of painting on glass. It was, therefore, with some intense delight that we saw a notice the other day of the failure and stoppage of Barnum's Illustrated News. We rejoiced thereout greatly, and we hope that it will never be revived, and that Gleason will also fail as soon as he conveniently can, and that his trashy pictorial will perish with it. It must not be supposed from the tenor of these remarks that we are opposed to the publication of the properly conducted and creditably executed illustrated paper. On the contrary, quite reverse. We are passionately fond of the art ourselves, and we believe that nothing can have a stronger tendency to refinement in society than presenting to the public chaste and elaborate engravings, copies of works of high artistic merit, accompanied by graphic and well-written essays. It was for the purpose of introducing a paper containing these features to our appreciative community that we have made these introductory remarks, and for the purpose of challenging comparison and defying competition that we have criticized so severely the incipital and ephemeral productions mentioned above. At a vast expenditure of money, time, and labor, and after the most incredible and unheard of exertion on our part individually, we are at length able to present to the public an illustrated publication of unprecedented merit, containing engravings of exceeding costliness and rare beauty of design, got up on an expensive scale, which never have been attempted before in this or any other country. We furnish our readers this week with the first number, merely premising that the immense expense attending its issue will require a corresponding liberality of patronage on the part of the public to cause it to be continued. Portrait of His Royal Highness Prince Albert. Prince Albert, son of a gentleman named Coburg, is the husband of Queen Victoria of England, and the father of many of her children. He is the inventor of the celebrated Albert hat, which has been lately introduced with great effect in the U.S. Army. The prince is of German extraction, his father being a Dutchman, and his mother being a duchess. The Battle of Lake Erie, of which our artist presents a spirited engraving, copied from the original painting by Hannibal Carracci, in the possession of J.P. Haven, Esquire, was fought in 1836 on Chesapeake Bay between the U.S. frigates Constitution and Guerriere and the British troops under General Putnam. Our glorious flag, there as everywhere, was victorious, and long may it wave over the land of the free and the home of the slave. There, this is but a specimen of what we can do if liberally sustained. We wait with anxiety to hear the verdict of the public before proceeding to do any further and greater outlays. Subscription, $5 per annum, payable invariably in advance. Inducements for clubbing, 20 copies furnished for 1 year for 50 cents. Address, John Phoenix, Office of the San Diego Herald. End of Section 4.